So I had mentioned this in my first photo review episode that I did last year, and I want to be certain to echo the same sentiment again now, is I completely understand exactly how vulnerable one must allow themselves to be in order to submit their work to somebody else to review, especially in a public forum such as YouTube. And I don't take it for granted whatsoever that you chose me to be that person to review your image, so thank you very much for that. And with over 1,000 images submitted, I really wish there was a way that we could touch upon each and every one of these photographs, but in an effort to respect everyone's time, I ended up narrowing the lot down to a total of 9 images. And what's really cool about this year's photo review episode, actually 2 things. The first thing is that we now have both before and after versions of each of these photographs. And the second thing is that we also have a giveaway and a winning prize available. So be sure to stick around towards the end of this video for more details surrounding that. So we do have quite a few images to go through. I'm going to try and strike a good balance between moving quickly and efficiently while at the same time not rushing through the images, if that's at all possible. So what I'll do is for each photograph, I'll show you the original unedited version. Then I'll show you the photographer's edited version, and then I'll show you another version that I created with some additional edits applied, which by no means are corrections per se. These are just things that I would do if these were my images. And I think this is a better way to do it, because that way you're not sitting at home watching me move sliders around and dropping graduated filters down and drawing adjustments all over the place. Just that way, I think this is a little bit more effective use, or a better way for us to maximize our time together. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. This is the very first image, which is an incredible storm image with an amazing cloud structure and an incredible lightning strike as well. This is the original image with no edits applied, and this is the photographer's version, which looks absolutely incredible. I mean, who doesn't love a good storm lightning strike image? This is a fantastic one. And then this is the version that I created with some additional edits applied. And if we come up to the develop module, and if I hit the / key, you can see the difference between the photographer's edit and the additional edits that I applied. This is before and after, before and after. And the real noticeable change here is I added a graduated filter across the sky, warmed it up a little bit, added a little bit of green tint to it, brought down the highlights a little bit. There was an area here and an area through here that seemed a little bit hot, a little bright for me. So I wanted to bring those areas down just a touch to about right there. I increased the clarity a little bit just to add some overall structure to the clouds, and then added a little bit of negative dehaze, just that way to kind of soften up the clouds just a touch. And if I toggle it on and off, this is before and after, before and after, and I really like the way that that came out. I also added a radial adjustment right through here. And really all that I did, I used a range mask to kind of refine it. As you can see, that red line is only targeting the actual field itself, so everything in red is going to receive this edit. And all I did is just increase the exposure. And if I toggle the effect on and off, this is before and after, before and after. And I really did that because I really like the crops to kind of draw the viewer's eye into the overall photograph, and I wanted to brighten up that area because I didn't want the viewer's eye to accidentally miss that area and just look directly at the lightning strike, because that's easy to do in this image. I also wanted them to see the crops in the field that kind of draw the viewer into this photograph, so I wanted to brighten that area up just a touch. And then the third noticeable change, or notable change, is I added a slight split tone with this color to the actual highlights, which are all right here on the right side of this image. And I think that this adjustment turned out really cool. So this is before and after. And you can really see how it just kind of like warmed up, kind of added to that like electric feel, electric mood to that side of the overall image. Here it is again, this is before and after. So I really like the way that turned out as well. And then once again, this is the original edit, and this is after some additional edits applied. So that was an absolutely fantastic image. Like I said, who doesn't love a good storm image? This one right here is great as well. This is the original image with no edits applied, and this is the photographer's edit right here. If we kind of toggle back and forth between the two, you can see they did quite a bit of dodging and burning on the stones right through here. They even brightened up the person right here to add a little bit of scale. Kind of go back and forth and see that. I think they did a real good job on this edit. And then this is the edit that I applied with a slight crop. You'll notice that I just brought the bottom up a little bit, I like the waterfall right through there, but I felt that this kind of bottom area right here didn't add much to the overall photograph, so I brought it up just to kind of make it a little bit more focused on the waterfall and the rocks leading up to the waterfall, and then of course the human as the element of scale in the overall photograph. So I like that crop there. Just some basic edits to shadows, and added a little bit of texture, and also added a little bit of negative clarity just to kind of soften up the overall image. I think images that have a lot of rock and stone in it, sometimes they can feel a little bit over sharpened or a little bit crunchy. So I just wanted to kind of soften that a little bit as well. And the biggest changes really are all with the radial filter. I added an area up here at the top where I brightened it up quite a bit, warmed it up some, and also added quite a bit of negative dehaze. And if I turn this on and off, that's before and after, before and after. So that really kind of brightened up that top area of the photograph, because I wanted to make sure that that's where the viewer's eye traveled to throughout this image. So I kind of wanted to brighten up that area up through there. And I also added a lot of radial filters, dodging and burning all throughout this photograph, all through here. And then I dodge those areas, burn these areas here because the light's coming from the left side here. So these areas are all going to be in shadow. So right through here, so I wanted to kind of exaggerate that just a little bit. And if I toggle this on and off, that's before, and after, and I really like the way that that turned out. And then I added a slight tone curve, and the real biggest change here is I did something that's called fading the shadows or fading the blacks, and it's kind of a way to just soften down the image a little bit, once again, kind of go for that more of a matte or more painterly look. And it's real simple to do. You just kind of take the bottom of your tone curve and just kind of lift it up just a little bit like that. And if you look through this area right through here, you'll really be able to see the difference when I turn this on and off. So this is before and after, before and after. And I really like the way that that turned out. I really like the way this overall edit turned out as well. And then the only other thing I did is just kind of shift the greens to where they weren't so green. So this is the way they were before, and this is where they are now. I kind of do that in a lot of my photographs, wherever there's images that have a whole lot of very bright, punchy greens, I will usually try and shift those greens over more towards yellow or more towards orange. And I did that here as well, and added a little bit of luminance to that green channel. You can see it kind of glowing right there. And I think that looks good. I might even add a little bit more. So this is before and after. But this is a fantastic image. Once again, this is the original edit, and this is after some additional edits that I applied. So once again, fantastic photograph. And this next one here, I love these types of images. Less is more. There's not a whole lot to this photograph. Simplicity is king here, just a very minimal image. And here is the actual, the raw file with no edits applied. As you can see, there's a big sensor spot or maybe something on the lens element. And here's the photographer's edit. They did a great job removing that distraction that was there. And then here is the edit that I applied. What I did is I took a graduated filter across the bottom here. I just added some, additional clarity, just to add a little bit more structure to that area down there, because I love those patterns and I really want those to pop. And when I turn this on and off, this is before and after, before and after. And I think that did a really good job right through there. And then with split toning, I actually split toned the shadows with this color here. And that came out great. This is before and after. It really made that sand pop. I really like the way that that came out as well. And then the last thing is I just kind of shifted in the calibration section, the red primary channel. I wanted to shift it, the red's more towards orange. I felt that the sand was kind of getting a little bit too red, so I wanted to shift it a little bit more towards orange, and I think that turned out good. You can kind of see the difference here. That's before and that's after. And once again, this is the original edit, and this is after some additional edits applied. But great photograph. I think it was very nicely done. Now, I'll go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. This next image right here is probably one of my favorites of the 9 images right here. This is very, very nicely done. And here is the image straight out of camera with no edits applied. And then here is the photographer's edited version. And I think they did a great job in removing this area right through here. That's exactly what I would have done. This is their version. This is before and after. Very, very nicely done. And then this is the version that I came up with. Some just additional edits applied. If we hit the backslash key, you can see the changes. So this is before with the photographer's edit, and this is what I came up with. I really didn't do a whole lot here. Just some basic edits right here in the basic panel. Some negative clarity once again, a little bit of positive texture just to kind of go for that more painterly, soft, subdued image, because there's a lot of detail in this photograph. I do this in almost every type of woodland scene because there's so many branches and leaves, and I want to kind of soften all that detail down a little bit. And I think that came out well. I went to the split toning section and I split toned the highlights this color, and I also split toned the shadows this light blue color, just to kind of play on the whole cinematic color palette, the teal and orange, because this is a very moody image to me, and I really wanted to kind of exaggerate that look. And if you toggle the split toning on and off, this is before and after, before and after. Very subtle change, but I really like the way that came out. And then the only other thing I did is in the red channel, I just increased some of the luminance a little bit just to kind of make those leaves pop just a little bit more. Also did the same thing with orange, and I believe yellow, nope, just red and orange, just to kind of make those areas just pop just a little bit more. I think that's exactly where I had it. And if I toggle it on and off, this is before, after, before, and after, just to kind of make those leaves and those trees just kind of stand out just a little bit more. But I really like the way that this photograph came out. Very nice job on this one. And in this image right here, this is a classic, just roaring, raging waterfall with, with the rocks kind of leading up to the waterfall. I love these types of images, and this is definitely one of those. This is the raw image straight out of camera. If you notice, there's this kind of wire. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but this is the photographer's version. They did a great job removing that. Very nice edit. I really like the way this one came out. And then this is the version that I came up with, which is very, very similar. There's not a whole lot of change here. You'll notice definitely a drastic color shift. If you look at the greens, you'll notice that if I toggle this on and off, you could really see a difference there. Also did the same with the oranges or yellow. Yeah, the yellows as well. If I just shift that section, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Whenever I have images that have a lot of punchy greens, this is totally a personal taste thing for me. I just shift them more towards orange or more towards yellow. But I did that, and then in the adjustment brush, what I did is I ended up painting, kind of real loosely, all the areas that I felt were the most interesting. As far as the waterfalls are concerned, you can see everything in red is the areas that I targeted. And I basically added a little bit of texture, a little bit of clarity, because I wanted to give those areas some more structure, make a little bit more definition, added some contrast to that area. And if I toggle this on and off, it's a subtle change, but you can definitely see it. This is before and after, before and after. If you pay attention down here and maybe up here, you can see it even better. So before and after. So I really wanted to make the water kind of pop, make it really stand out a little bit more. And I think that I didn't add any kind of a vignette, nothing in the calibration section. I don't believe I did. Oh, I split toned the shadows, that same kind of light blue color, just to add a little bit more color contrast to the overall image. This is before and this is after. I didn't want it all to be just kind of like that orangish yellow color. I wanted to add a blue color to add just a little bit more color contrast to the overall image, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. But this is the edit I came up with. This is the edit the photographer came up with. So a very subtle change. I like the crop that they went with, so I wouldn't make any changes there personally. Now this next image here, once again, one of those minimalistic, less is more, very simplistic photograph, but it's very nicely done as well with an amazing location. This is the before image with no edits applied, straight out of camera. This is the photographer's edit, which I think looks very nice. And then this is the edit that I came up with, which is not a drastic change. What I did is in the graduated filter, I darkened down the bottom portion of this right through here, just to kind of help draw the viewer into the overall image. Also added a vignette to the overall photograph as well. If we toggle this on and off, that's before and after, before and after. Didn't do anything with split toning, didn't add any kind of radial filters anywhere. It was really just a matter of just kind of softening down the overall image, just reducing the clarity a little bit. Oh, there was a little bit of noise. Now the photographer might have added grain to this photograph, I couldn't quite tell, but I ended up using a little bit of noise reduction just to kind of soften it up. But this image just looked like a painting to me, and I really wanted to exaggerate that. So this is the photographer's edit. and this is the edit I came up with. And I really just like the way that it just kind of draws the viewer's eye into this overall image. So very nicely done. I love the colors in this photograph. Now this next image, this is the original image right here. This is straight out of camera with no edits. And I noticed that in the histogram, it does look like the photographer accidentally did blow out this area right through here. And you really can't tell now, but you'll be able to tell in the next version. You can see how there's these kind of weird anomalies right through here, and that's because this area was blown out. But very cool image, amazing location. This is the photographer's edit, and this is the edit that I came up with right here. And I really like this image. I added a graduated filter across this bottom left-hand corner just to kind of darken down this region some. And I also, well, you can see I reduced the exposure a little bit, also reduced the shadows some. I really wanted to make those areas of light a little bit more pronounced, so I kind of darkened down the darker areas by reducing overall exposure, reducing the shadows, just to kind of make those areas pop, because the light in this image I think is the best part. I did change the crop a little bit as well. You can just kind of see I can just kind of brought it in a little bit more just to make it somewhat more focused of an overall photograph. There's a couple changes to the temperature and the tint, and I also split toned the highlights and the shadows, but this time, I'm sorry, just the shadows, just that kind of beige color. And as you can see, they were just this very cool blue. They almost looked a little bit too unnatural. So I wanted to add a little bit of kind of a brown color, or that orangish beige color, to, I don't know what this color is. I think I call it something different every time, just to kind of change those colors, but you can really see the difference in the shadow area right through there. I believe I did add a slight vignette to this overall image, and I don't think I did anything in the calibration section or in the color section. Maybe, yeah, just a little bit to those greens. If we toggle it on and off, you can see how green all the grass is, and now it's a little bit different. But if we toggle the overall effect on and off, this is before, and this is after. Oh, I forgot almost the most important part, this tone curve. I just used Lightroom's strong contrast just to kind of really add a lot more contrast to the image, because it just felt a little bit more flat. That could have been the photographer's personal taste that they were going for this image, but I wanted to add that contrast back in, and I think that looks pretty good. So I think it's a very nice image. Now this image right here, this is, once again, this is a fantastic photograph with a very, very nice edit applied. This is the image straight out of camera with no edits at all applied to it. And honestly, straight out of camera, this already looks good. And then this is the version of that the photographer came up with, I think is absolutely fantastic. This location is incredible. And then this is the version that I came up with, which is just a little bit more subdued version of the photographer's version, but that could definitely be their personal style and what they're going for. I usually don't like super vibrant colors in my images. So what I did, if we toggle the effect or the overall edits on and off, this is the photographer's edit, and this is my edit before and after. I think both look really good. Just a couple changes to the white balance, increase the texture, reduce the clarity, just to kind of soften it all up, because there is a lot of detail in this overall image. Didn't do anything in the tone curve. Oh, I did add a radial filter to this area right through here, because I felt that it was a little bit bright. If I turn it on and off, so this is before and after, before and after. I felt that it was kind of drawing my eye out of the image, so I wanted to kind of darken it down a little bit, but I love how the rocks and the water just kind of point your eye into the area, which is the large sea stack in the middle right through here. But I think that radial filter did a good job right through there. And then I added a, no vignette there. Did I do anything in the split toning section? Yes, so I added that same kind of khaki color to the highlights and the shadows, but I brought the saturation down a little bit, so it's very subtle. This is before and after, before and after. I really liked what that did. And I don't believe I did anything in the, oh, actually, I'm sorry, I did. In the blue channel, I brought the luminance down because I felt that it added a little bit more kind of detail into the actual water. Hit Command Z to see where I put it, -30, and this is where it was before. So I kind of liked what that did right through there. Just very subtle. If we turn it on and off, that's before and after, before and after. But overall, absolutely, it's a gorgeous image. I was almost speechless for a moment. So this is the before and this is after. Very cool photograph. And then the final image right here, another beautiful waterfall. Not 100% sure exactly where this is, but I would love to visit this location. I really like the composition. This is the image straight out of camera. This is the photographer's edit. which I think looks great. And then this is the version that I came up with. And if we hit the backslash key, you can see the differences. This is the original edit, and this is my edit before and after. And you'll notice that the crop looks a little bit different. This is the way the photographer originally had it. But there was this area, it was just very distracting to me. There was nothing really interesting going on. It was a little bit bright. So I wanted to just kind of bring it down just a touch to kind of make it a little bit more of a focused composition. I added a radial filter up through here, whoops, right through there, and just kind of reduce the exposure, reduce the highlights a touch. Added a little bit of warmth up there just to kind of make that area not look so bright. And then I also added another radial filter right through here. And if I turn this off, you notice how dark that bottom left-hand corner is. And if I turn it on, it kind of brightens up a little bit. I wanted to brighten that up because I wanted to make sure that the viewer didn't miss this foreground area, because the foreground in this image I think is absolutely fantastic, with the log kind of leaning across the river and in those little areas of patches of grass and those cool little leaves. I wanted to make sure that that wasn't missed at all and the viewer saw that. But I added, of course, I shifted the colors some. If I toggle this on and off, that's before and after, before and after. I think I did the same thing in nope, nothing in the camera calibration section. No vignette. I didn't do anything with split toning. It was almost all just those two radial filters and then just shifting the colors a little bit. But absolutely fantastic image. And once again, this is the original edit and this is the edit I came up with. So not a huge difference, just really just a color shift here and there. So those are the 9 images that I selected. And the way that, when I was thinking about the giveaway and the prizes, I wanted to make it to where anybody could win. Anybody could enter, not just those that submitted a photo for the review session. So what I did is I selected my top 5 favorite of those 9 images, which I'll show you in just a second. And each of those 5 images all have a corresponding letter associated with them. So either A, B, C, D, or E. And what I'll do is I'll show them all to you in just a second right here. In order to enter the giveaway, just make sure you're subscribed to the channel, make sure you like the video, and comment as to which of these 5 images is your favorite. You don't have to give a ton of context or detail as to why you think that image is your favorite. Just put down A or B, or maybe add some context to it. That'll be absolutely fantastic. And then in next week's video, whichever image has the most votes for the best image will win a $50 gift card to my favorite camera store, B&H Photo. And I will also provide or select a completely random comment to also win another $50 gift card to B&H Photo as well. That way you don't have to enter the photo review session to win. So there will be 2 prizes given, one for the best image and one for the completely random giveaway for the other $50 gift card to B&H Photo. And B&H Photo is not sponsoring this video at all. They just happen to be my favorite camera store, and I paid for these 2 gift cards out of my pocket with my own money. I just thought that it would be a cool way to possibly spice up the photo review episode. So I really do hope that you enjoyed this week's video. I'm going to show you the 5 images right now, and just keep in mind whatever letter is tied to that image. So those are the 5 images, and I want to also make note that those are the photographer's edit. None of those images have any of my edits applied. These are all exactly how they were submitted to me, and they are all just tremendous photographs. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, leave them in the comments section below, and I guarantee I will get back in touch with you. And if you did enjoy this week's video, if you could give it that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And as always, I really do appreciate you watching this week's video, and I will see you all next Wednesday. Bye.